Hey YouTube, it's your man George Page coming to you live. And I want to talk about a subject I talked about. That's I'm a big fan of that's bodybuilding and strongly female bodybuilding. And if you know anything about it, it's been around for quite a few years. And one of the biggest shows that used to be back in the day for female bodybuilding was the Miss Olympia. The Miss Olympia was created back in 1980. It starred a lot of legends like Rochelle McLish, Carla Dunlap, Corey Everson, and Murray, Kim Savetsky, Iris Kyle, several women who won the title. And it was a spinoff to the male version, which was the Mr. Olympiad. Well, there's always been a controversy about female bodybuilding and how it's femininity versus masculinity. In in '99, there was almost no Mr. Olympiad because they were saying that there was no big ticket sales. It was hard to get anybody to do the shows. But somehow it was able to come together with at least enough athletes to have Miss Olympiad, but more of a smaller venue. So in the IFBB, they had, implemented new policies to try to save Miss Olympiad. So in 2000, they decided to put in a requirement that female bodybuilders have dropped down to 20 to 19-20% of muscle. And also, they put in weight classes in all the female competitions. Now, if you know that the IFBB is the National Federation of Bodybuilding, which is the pro level for all bodybuilding. There's the NPC, which is um, the National Physique Committee, and they're like the amateur level, which where many amateurs come in, they have to compete in weight classes. For women, there's like at the most, there's three, but sometimes it can be four. You can compete as a lightweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. But generally, most of the time, it's mostly lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. So in 2000, Miss Olympiad, the IFBB decided to put in two weight classes for female bodybuilding, and that was lightweight and heavyweight. Now, to me, when you get from a pro to amateur, it's always been that you didn't have to compete against, like if you're a heavyweight, like this. This is how I break it down. If you're a lightweight, you compete as a lightweight and you step up to pros, that means you have to be almost at the physique level of a middleweight. If you're a middleweight and you get to be a pro, you have to be at least at a physique level of a heavyweight. And if you're heavyweight, well, you have to be more better conditioned and better on definition. Meaning, if you're a big heavyweight, but you might need to cut a little bit, to show more definition, more styration, whatever else. So, as I was saying, the Mr. Olympiad and many other shows decided to put in weight conditions. Yeah, the way I say the IB decided to put in weight classes for many of the women's shows. Not just Mr. Olympiad, but also Mr. National, Jantana, and some other shows. So in 2000, where they had the new requirements for the Miss Olympiad, they had the lightweight and the heavyweight. Now, representing the heavyweight division was Valentina Japek. She was a bodybuilder out of the Ukraine, and one of the first most successful women from the at the time was Soviet Union. Then you also in the white division you had Drula Bachette from England. Now Drula's been competing since she was a teen, and she turned pro about in the I think the mid and early '90s. So when in the heavyweight division, when you win that division, you compete for the overall title. But this is what the thing with the IFBB did. Instead of having one champion, they had two champions, which to me never makes sense. So Valentina became the heavyweight champion and Miss Olympia, and Adrina became the lightweight champion and Miss Olympia. But to me, when you compete head to head, you have to pick who should be the champion. If I know anything about sports, people hate draws and ties. They hate them because it feels like it's unfinished. When you like, if you watch boxing or any kind of martial arts, and when the referee, where the judges say, "Oh, we have a draw," people hate draws. Or when you watch a race, and then you have a tie. Sometimes most times you have a tiebreaker, but sometimes people say, "Well, we just settle for the tie." And people hate ties. They feel like, it's not a win, it's not a loss. It's, how I remember this guy said, it's like kissing your sister. You're kissing a girl, but it's your sister. It's not the same. So here's the belief it was that why there was two Miss Olympia instead of just one. See, if, Valentina Japek was a very attractive female bodybuilder. At one point, she's more like early physique. She wasn't too muscular. She was lean. She had a look, and the judges liked that. Then Drula came in, and Drula was really about the muscle. She was well defined, had striation. She was she was pretty big for a lightweight. So what I believe was the judges didn't want to, so they said where they could have went with Valentina because she had the look, very attractive, very, not overly sized, but she was a heavyweight. She was I think she was kind of minimum heavyweight. She was more like a middleweight than anything. And Drula, who came in as a lightweight, she was more like a middleweight, but I think it's about maybe 10 pounds difference then between the lightweight and heavyweight division at that time. And Drula represented more of what the fans like, the muscles, women with huge muscles, just just shredded all together. So the IFBB, and I think the judges decided to split the difference and crown the one for one thing, the one for other. But to me, I feel like this is my personal feeling. I feel Andrula should have won. I mean, she represented what bodybuilding was about, you know. And the reason why Valentina, and if Valentina won, she would have represented what the higher ups would want to represent female bodybuilding. Blonde, very attractive, you know, not too muscular, but not like I did like feminine, but not overly feminine, and muscular, not overly muscular. That's what they would like. But they decided to split the difference and say, well, we have one representing the uh, masculinity and one representing femininity. And that's what it was. So to me, that's a big controversy. I never understood why they had to have two Miss Olympiads when they could have just had one. Well, I think back in 2001, Andrula came back, and so did Valentina. And then the championship went to Julia Bergman, who came out of retirement after not competing almost 10 years in bodybuilding. She was doing judging duties as a judge for a good amount of years, but come out of retirement, competed in Miss Olympia in 2001, and they gave it to her. Instead of giving it to me, the rightful person should have won in 2001, and should have won in 2000 also, was Vicky Gates. Vicky Gates was just an amazing body, great muscles. I mean, she's been around. She's competed at least, I would think, that time. See, from 2001 to, she completed at least about 7 or 8 Miss Olympias that I can think of as actually. And she was at this point, I think, a 3-time Miss International. But I think the powers that be didn't want to give it to Vicky Gates, and felt that Juliet Bergman would have represented more of just old school legend that comes out of retirement, and she wins the Miss Olympia. Julia Bergman back in the day was a great bodybuilder. I loved her. I was a fan of her. She represented. She was very feminine, very muscular, very attractive. But to me, this was a gimme when they gave it to her in 2001. And then that next year, Linda Murray came back in 2002 and won it. But it is always going to be a controversy to me and they decided to, instead of just having one Miss Olympia, they had two. And I don't know why they thought that would be a good idea. To me, it kind of, I think Drula at that, she retired after that. I think if Drula had won, I think she would have kept on competing a couple more years, and then she would have retired. But I think after she felt like she was slated by giving her a shared title with somebody else. Valentina kept competing, but after a while, she kind of dropped off a little bit. For a while, she was even in the top 5 for the last 2 or 3 Miss Olympiads. Eventually, she retired. I was Facebook friends with most of these ladies, but a lot of female bodybuilders, a lot of people dropped Facebook because a lot of BS is going on Facebook. Just a while ago, I had a strike against me by YouTube, and I wasn't able to get on my channel for a while. So but that's not here and there.